Hello there. Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the show. Ryan Kaufman coming to you live once again from the 2025 Department of Defense Warrior Games going on all this week on the campus of Colorado College. And I have plenty of guests coming up over the course of the program that I want you to get to know. In the meantime, I appreciate you tuning in. Whether you're listening on air online at extrasports1300.com or you've downloaded the Extra Sports 1300 app to do your listening, and that app is sponsored by Diversus Health, mental health, and well-being for all. And I think we have our live stream of the show as well up and running. On our social media platforms at Extra Sports 1300, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. If you would like to watch the show and meet some of our athletes in that way. And let's just get rolling here right out of the gate with one of my guests. He is Chris Cox, and he is responsible for all that we'll see while we are here at Warrior Games. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to have you. And obviously, you're on the logistics side of this event. So, how long does it take to set all of this up and get up and running before the athletes start competing?
Well, I'm going to answer that in two parts.
Okay.
So,
hold that microphone close by. There you go.
So, logistically, it takes us about a week to build out the venue.
Okay.
We start talking planning. We are on an 18 to 24-month planning cycle for each Warrior game. So we're actually already well into our planning cycle for the next year while we're here executing this.
All right, and that's what I was going to ask. So when it comes time for Colorado Springs to host it again, and CC raises their hand and say, hey, we'd love to host this. I know the Sports Corp was integral in all of this. Are you in those, I don't want to say negotiations, but those talks to be like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to work. That will work, just judging the viability of this campus being a site for the Warrior Games.
Right. So we haven't gotten any direct for Colorado College here in the next couple of years. But we are already having those conversations for Warrior Games 2027 with a couple of different potential locations. We are already locked in 26 and 28 for San Antonio, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So usually, so the next years we're looking at, like I said, we're looking at 27 now. Probably next summer into next fall, we'll start looking pretty hard for 2029.
But when a venue, any venue in any city says we want to host the Warrior Games, you're in there saying, okay, we need this, that, and the other.
Absolutely. Between our core planning team ourselves, and we also bring in an event management company. Mm-hmm. Between us and our event managers, we will meet with that potential location, talk through all of our requirements, what they will be able to provide, either as a gift or as a part of a contract with them, and we start having those conversations now.
And I know there's a lot that goes into it, but what are some, like the baseline, like you got to have, is it a number of venues? Is there any kind of minimum or baseline that a venue has to have in order to put on an event like this?
Absolutely. And the baseline is, and it's worked out really well at college campus.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because what we need are these large arenas like this where I can set up 2 basketball courts, like at Roby's arena here. I can set up 2 basketball courts and 2 rugby courts. 2 basketball, 2 rugby courts in an arena, and we've got the seating like that. Right. Other things that we're looking at is the proximity. Here is really nice. I can walk to almost all of our events. So the more we have to go out of our local area, it increases our transportation costs. It increases our logistics complexity, not only for us, but for the family and friends program to try to move people around. So really, we're looking for a pool, preferably 50 meters that we can run our swimming event on. We're looking for large gym or convention center space where we can build out those those sporting areas to include our precision air and our archery, which sometimes requires a little bit more negotiation on allowing those type of events in.
Chris Cox is my guest, part of the logistics team here at the DOD Warrior Games. You mentioned the family and friends aspect of this and how all of these competitors get their people to come out here. That's maybe right alongside with the venues as far as getting them ready. That's goes part and parcel, right? How important it is to make sure that they have a great experience as well and they have everything they need to enjoy the week here in Colorado Springs.
Absolutely. And that comes down to a close partnership that we have with the Fisher House Foundation. All of what they bring in, the 2 family or friend members per flights, lodging, food, all that taken care of is them. So it's very important that even as we start talking future Warrior Games, we're already in that connection, and Fisher House is with us from the beginning to make sure that their needs are included as well as ours.
Once the event begins, what does your day-to-day look like? Are you just, I got to imagine you're all over the place, but what is it from a logistics standpoint that you do once the event begins?
All right. So me personally, once we get here, I have a team. Like I mentioned earlier, we bring in an event management company, and they're handling the details of it. At my level, our planning team's only 6 people. So we're handling your sports protests, or like last night we had a storm come through and knock down our archery wall. So it's working with our contracted sport to get our wall rebuilt. Maybe we need to adjust the schedule a little bit like we did this morning. And then we also have our sport technical meetings where we sit down with all of the coaches, all of the competition managers, go through the sports for the next day. And then what we've included the last couple of years are sport hot washes at the end. So once we are done executing, we get all of the coaches, the competition managers back together so we can look through our windshield and how can we make this better next year. So most of my day personally is hitting those different events throughout the day. And then as other small fires pop up, we provide the strategic level guidance for our guys down on the ground to execute.
What is the next thing, whether it be San Antonio or beyond, that you're like, you got in your head and you're like, I want to do this, or I want to add this next time around?
So we're looking at a couple of different things. The Warrior Games has been sport-wise unchanged for a long time. Sure. So that's part of what we're looking at right now is how do we maintain a relevant sporting event given our changing demographics. So that's what we're looking at as we build into the planning phase for 2026. And then just capitalizing on lessons learned. Our kickoff ceremony that we did a couple of days, we tried something new and making it a small and intimate ceremony. And that was a huge success. So how we can take that and what we did here with Ropes and Arena and then translate that into whatever venue is going to be available for the next year.
Yeah, I've heard from numerous people how great it was, the event with Jon Stewart. The word you used, intimate, was perfect, right? It just felt like everybody was up close and personal and getting to hear Jon Stewart talk to them. It was amazing. And we also have a send-off at the end here. So I don't want to have you give away anything, but what does that kind of look like? What could people expect for that?
So the send-off, we're going to be in a different venue. We're going to be outside for this one, as long as the weather agrees with us.
The weather has not totally cooperated with you, Chris. I will empathize with you a little bit on that.
And that's where I'd like to take a second and really recognize our volunteer teams, our logistics crews, and everybody that's come in. Because you're right, the weather has been not the best for running an outdoor sports competition. But the effects of that weather have been largely transparent to the actual spectators and athletes.
100%.
They get caught in a lightning lockdown every now and then. But the sports are still running on time. The venues are still set up when they're supposed to. And that's a testament to the volunteers that are coming to do this, because it takes hundreds. We have over 370 volunteers that have
I was going to ask.
Yeah, over 370. And that's who's rebuilding our archery wall. That's who's flipping the ropes in from our kickoff ceremony into basketball the next day. And they're putting in tremendous amount of hours unpaid to come in and make this thing happen.
That's awesome. Chris Cox, my guest, talking logistics of these 2025 DOD Warrior Games. So what's next on the docket for you? Do we have archery coming through here shortly?
So archery starts tomorrow.
Oh, archery tomorrow.
We're doing our sight-ins right now. And as I mentioned, we rebuilt our archery wall last night and this morning so we could start this on time today. So they're doing their sight-ins now in preparation for tomorrow. And then tonight we have our wheelchair rugby semifinals and our finals match this evening.
Yeah, we were just my producer Ray and I were over watching the semifinals, and it's been, Robeson Arena, for people listening who are here in Colorado Springs. They obviously know how new Robeson Arena is, how great of a venue it is for CC hockey, but it's lent itself to that event in a great way, and to have both of the semifinals going on simultaneously right now. Like, we were darting back and forth. Okay, we're watching Air Force over here, and then we're watching SOCOM and Marine Corps over here. Just that was awesome.
Yeah, and it was great last night. I went and watched some of our pool play matches, and exactly that. I found me a nice spot, dead center between the two courts. And I've worked with these athletes for years. And I know a lot of them from previous War Games, previous Invictus games. So for me personally, I'm cheering for everybody. So it doesn't matter who's winning, who's losing, who's scoring. I'm having a great time, and the athletes, more importantly, are having a great time.
Yeah, you could certainly see it. And as I've talked to many of them, they're having a great time here at the DOD Warrior Games. Chris, my thanks for your time, and more importantly, my thanks for all the work you've done, and the over 300 volunteers and your staff, because this has been great so far, and I look forward to the last few days of it.
Absolutely. Like I said, you mentioned a lot of work that's happened on our end and our volunteers, but really, this is a labor of love for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to give back to these service members and veterans that have sacrificed so much. And as a veteran myself, it is a personal thank you back to them for me to have the opportunity to do this. So it's really an honor to come in and support these guys the way that we do.
So, being that you have served yourself, which team have you been secretly pulling for this whole time?
So I run these games on behalf of the Department of Defense.
So
every single athlete out there.
Great answer, Chris. Chris Cox, job well done. I know it's not done yet, but so far so good. Chris Cox joining me here on Drive Time Sports. We'll take a break and have more from the Warrior Games right after this on Extra Sports 1300. Welcome back, Drive Time Sports, live from the DOD Warrior Games. And, throughout the week, some stars emerge throughout the week, and I am lucky enough to be joined by one of them. She is Master Sergeant Rhoda Vargas from Team Air Force, better known as Roro around these parts. Roro, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
We were just talking off air. Tough loss for Air Force in the semifinals of rugby, but they'll play in the bronze medal match. You've been kind of splitting your time between being a fan, and you were just recognized as the fan of the day yesterday here at Warrior Games, and also competing. Just what has this week so far been like for you?
Oh, it's just been incredible and unforgettable. So I feel like the mama bear of the team, and I'm the oldest one. A lot of them are about the age of my son. My oldest son is 26. So being able to have a second family where I can take care of my babies, and cheer them on and be there no matter what, and just celebrate the wins, and any small victory. It's just been amazing.
Is this your first Warrior?
This is my first Warrior Games. I did a Warrior Games challenge in 2023 in San Diego.
Okay, and is that where you're like, yes, I absolutely want to do this?
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when I was reading some of the quotes that you had when you were interviewed for your bio, you talked about, and it's such an important aspect of what Warrior Games are, that where adaptive sports, an event like this, fits in terms of recovery for so many of these service men and women. And that's certainly something that you trumpet first and foremost, is how important that is. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, my first care event was I thought I was going to do introduction to adaptive sports. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening, it was the Air Force trials in 2023. And powerlifting was the first one, and they put out a table with medals. So you get medals for this? I had no idea what Warrior Games it was. And I wasn't in the best situation in my life during that time, but in some miracle, I made the team, and I wanted to push forward. I was just in a bad shape. I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and I was day drinking just to get by, because I didn't know what to do. I was in the military for 24 and a half years, and I was medically retired. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know what to do going forward. And I started working out, and I wanted to prove that, I deserved to be part of the team and show them what I could do. And it's been 2.5 years since then. And it's been 2.5 years since I've had a suicidal ideation. This program saved my life.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Rhoda Vargas, my guest, Roro, as she's known around here. So let's talk about you, the competitor, this week. How has it been going?
It's been going pretty good. I started off with cycling, and I got bronze in the 1 mile time trial. And
1 mile. Oh my goodness. Do they have 100-meter bike ride? Because that's what I would do.
I would have signed up for that one.
Yeah.
That 1 mile was a tough one on the recumbent especially.
Yeah.
And yesterday we did field. I did seated discus and shot put, and I got gold in discus and silver in shot put. Mm. And today we did track. I was on the track chair for all 5 events: 1500, 800, 400, 200, and 100. And I got gold across the board.
Wow, rock star, Rhoda. That's awesome. I mean, you do have some bling here today, but where are all the medals? You get a few. Yes. Have you already gotten some of your medals?
I've gotten the bronze medal.
Okay.
And tomorrow they're going to do the track and field medaling ceremony together. So I'll be presented all 7 medals at once.
That's and then you will wear them around for 6 months, never take them off. What's the plan with the medals?
Well, I know I'll probably have to wait till after sitting volleyball so I don't hurt my neck.
There you go. That's smart. Want to be in peak physical form.
Afterwards, yes, I'll probably, I'll bling them out, and show them to my family and friends and have a celebration.
How much of your people are here with you?
My husband and my daughter are here with me, and the rest of my family and friends are all watching online.
And how is it that, I mean, you're doing this for you, obviously, as you discussed, but to be able to do this in front of them, how cool is that?
It's been really amazing. I was just texting my daughter this morning because she was videotaping for me. And after that first gold medal in the 1500, I texted back to her that, because I came here 3 weeks early so I could train and acclimate. And I hated being apart from my family. But I told her it was bittersweet, but I hope that the time apart was worth it and that I was able to train hard and so you could be proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that she was very proud of me. So that meant a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing. As I know, when we're kids, right, that's what we want from our parents, is for them to say that they're proud of us. And then when we become parents, that's all we want from our kids. They want that from us, but we want that much more from them. And that's awesome that she said that. And obviously, she has every reason to be proud of you in the way that, not only the way that you've competed, but your story is amazing. Where you came from, and coming over to the United States and knowing early on that you wanted to serve your adopted country. I mean, you're an absolute inspiration. You're the American dream, Roro. Do you know that you're the American dream embodied?
I did not know it that way. But you got to take it easy on me because there's only double doors. My ego's going to get so big I won't be able to go through it.
Yeah, well, I think the medals have done enough of that already. What I'm saying doesn't add anything to it. And so tomorrow, sitting volleyball, you'll be here. You've won almost every event you've been in, but is there a particular event that you were most looking forward to or most enjoy competing in?
I most was looking forward to track because I really, really hated it. And that's why I worked 10 times harder, 100 times harder on the track chair, because I wanted to give my very best, even though I hated every minute of it. But it was proof that, when you train hard, when you work hard, it pays off.
Yeah, it does. And it's funny, that's a common theme when I've spoken with your fellow athletes. It's always the sport that they were least looking forward to doing that they end up like wanting to do the most, right? Because that's what you are. When you enlist in the military, and you're taking the long road, the hard road that a lot of people don't want to take. And so it does, even though when you say it, or when any athlete says it hits my ear wrong, I'm like, no, I would want definitely the easiest one. But that's just how you're built different. I mean, all of you. And that's why we owe you such a debt of gratitude for what you've done for this country. And that goes for everybody competing here at the Warrior Games. Thank you so much, Roro, for taking this time with me. I'll let you go and get prepped and get your voice back, rested to cheer on Air Force in the bronze medal match of the wheelchair rugby. But in the meantime, this was an absolute pleasure. Congratulations on your success so far. And of course, thank you for your service and what you have done for this country.
Thank you so much. It was my honor.
Yep.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you. That's Roro, everybody. When you come out and over the next couple of days, you won't be able to miss her if you're watching on the live stream. You now know what Roro looks like, and you'll be able to find her, say hi, just the nicest person. We'll take a break and have more from the DOD Warrior Games right after this on Extra Sports 1300. Drive Time Sports live from the Department of Defense Warrior Games here on the campus of Colorado College. Rolling right along with our next guest, and we'll go to Team Marine Corps here as Lance Corporal Hong is joining me now. Appreciate you stopping by.
Yes, of course. My pleasure.
So you and I were talking a little bit off air. Let's start with the good news. The good news is track today was incredibly fruitful for you. Tell us about how that went.
I ended up getting the gold medal in the 100 meter and the silver in the 200, and in the relay to top it all off with the bronze.
I think we were just, Ray, were we just watching before we went over to, did you just get done competing like within the last hour and a half or so?
It's like before lunch.
Oh, it was before lunch. Okay. So the track has been going great, but you were telling me that you were expecting to be in pretty much everything this week. And because there is a qualification process, there is a camp that you have to go to. Unfortunately, you missed out on doing some of the things that you wanted to do, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So, does it, are you good though, because you've been so successful in at least what you've competed in, or are you looking at some of these other events we were just talking about, wheelchair rugby, and like, man, I really want to be out there?
Man, I really wanted to be out there,
Yeah.
bumping wheelchairs and just, setting hard screens.
That sport is intense, but I can hear you, when you're talking about it, your eyes are lighting up. So you have no problem with that physicality in that sport. Have you competed in that or just played before this
Yes.
whole lead up? Okay.
Yes, back at the battalion, we had like tryouts before trials, and I did play in the wheelchair rugby.
Yeah. Did you play any of these sports that you're competing in when you were growing up?
Definitely no, not with wheelchairs.
Well, sure, but I just meant like, did you run track or anything like that?
I didn't run track, but I guess pretty close to track. I played football.
Okay,
Played a cornerback, so that's a lot of running.
nice. You were lockdown corner?
Yeah.
Really nice. Let's talk about your time in the Marine Corps. So when did you enlist?
I think 2022.
Okay.
2020. I don't remember, but
Yeah. And what was kind of the impetus of that? What made you want to go into the Marine?
well, at first out of high school, I went to college. Well, because Asian parents at first, and it was during COVID, and I was majoring in pharmacy, and the labs were not it,
No.
especially online.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just lost motivation, and at the time, my cousin enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
He's he's not as what is it? He didn't go the active route. He went the reserve route.
Okay.
So I one-upped him on that.
There you go. And you remind him of this?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I figured you did.
yeah, but that was another reason. Another reason was that I decided to join was really to just for the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I needed it.
Yeah. And did you get out of it what you were looking for?
Definitely.
Yeah. Right. And this whole, the adaptive sports and warrior games and everything like that, what are you getting out of this experience personally? Other than medals, many medals.
Number one, just building a camaraderie,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I'm just like really, grateful and like blessed to be in this spot I'm in currently.
Yeah. Did you know anybody from the Marine Corps on your team? Like,
Yeah.
So you have a few people here that you served with?
I do.
Okay, cool. So that makes it a little bit easier, right? Getting to know,
Yeah.
but it's funny. Somebody that joined me yesterday said the way that you guys are wired, if you find one thing that you can kind of agree on, like her example was like spaghetti. Like if you both eat the same thing at lunch, then you're like, you come locked in and tight. Is that the way it works? She's from the Navy. I would assume that it's very similar dynamic within the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I would say so.
And just what is it? What has that kind of? You talked about the camaraderie, but being able to kind of cheer on everybody else in the events that you're not competing in. How fun has that been for you?
Just like spectating and spectating, especially with like the limits that they have, it really amazes me because some of them, have like prosthetic legs, and like some of them are like have way worse injuries than I do, and they're still, out there like performing.
And that's because from my perspective, I look at you and I look at Roro, who was on right before you, and you guys inspire me and so many others. But it's interesting to hear you say that even you guys who have achieved so much and have served our country are still inspired by your colleagues, if you will, your fellow competitors. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you said that you're now done because of not being able to, go through the camp and stuff. You're kind of done for the week in terms of competing. So what are you going to do with yourself over the next few days?
Recovery is definitely a big thing. And just cheering on the rest of the teammates.
Yeah. And speaking of recovery, so you're from Maryland. How did 6,000 some odd feet treat you this week, being here in Colorado Springs with the altitude?
Definitely took some time to get used to. Yeah, especially running track. Oh, track and rowing. Rowing definitely kicked my ass.
In that rowing event, we were talking about how wheelchair rugby, how crazy awesome that sport is. But like rowing at Robeson Arena was crazy. All you got, how is that to compete in with, it seemed like everybody was competing at one time in indoor rowing. Is that the way it was set up?
Yeah, we're going by classifications.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so everyone was like classified as with a specific number.
Sure.
Going off of their injury.
Okay. And I got to imagine having so many, like on the track, you have what, 6, 7, maybe 8 other, depending on how big the track is, competitors you're going up against. But in the rowing, it was like, how many were in your classification? Like, it was a ton out there.
Yeah, I would have to say like 10, 12.
Yeah. And how much of that, you played sports, right? Obviously, but you were playing team sports, talking about football, but being in an individual sport and having your competitors right on either side of you, how different is that from what you've experienced as an athlete growing up? But also how much does that push you when you have the competitors on either side of you?
Since it's not a team sport,
Yeah.
I guess, at the end of the day, you're just doing it like for yourself, and also like
Sure.
like your friends and family like out there who are like watching you.
Yeah. How many of your people are here? How many guests do you have?
I didn't invite any.
No. So you're going to be cheering on your Team Marine Corps tonight in the wheelchair rugby. Give us, you know, this team better than anybody. Tough loss to SOCOM, although they look like an absolute wagon. They're tough. But now they'll take on Air Force. Give us the scouting report on Team Marine Corps and why they will pick up the bronze tonight.
Well, I really hope like something changes in it, especially because one of the athletes on the team got injured and isn't able to play anymore.
Ooh.
So I pray. I mean, I'm wishing that they end up like playing for her.
Yeah.
Like her spirit.
Yeah. Next person up mentality, right?
Yeah.
You have it in sports, you have it in the Marine Corps, and you have it here at the Warrior Games. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and congratulations on all the success. Unfortunately, I know the track medals are given out tomorrow. How long are you going to be wearing your medals once they put them around your neck?
Oh, I'm not.
Not that. Okay, fine. You're a better man than I am. That's for sure. Well, congratulations, and thanks for spending a little bit of time with me, and enjoy the rugby tonight.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Lance Corporal Hong, my guest here on Drive Time Sports. We'll take a break and wrap up hour number 1 from the Warrior Games right after this on Extra Sports 1300. Welcome back, Drive Time Sports. Celebrate Christmas in July this Saturday with Switchbacks FC. They'll be taking on Texoma FC. You want to be there at 6 as fans through the gates. The first fans through the gates will get a limited edition Switchbacks rally towel provided by the Independence Center, and then stick around after what we hope will be a Switchbacks victory to experience a very special Christmas fireworks display. Get your tickets now at switchbacksfc.com. Thanks to the Marine Corps and Air Force and also the DOD Warrior Games for lending us Chris Cox for a little bit to talk about the logistics. Good first hour. We have more guests lined up after the top of the hour, but I want to discuss this story that I was alerted to thanks to DJ Michaels, who's back at the Extra Sports 1300 studios. So the Rockies got Ethan Holiday signed, and he's going to earn $9 million signing bonus from the team, which will be a record for a high school player under the current system. The MLB draft has gone through some changes, the number of rounds and the bonus pool and all that kind of stuff. So it's not an all-time number, but under these the new rules, if you want to call them that, Ethan Holiday is getting the biggest bonus that Major League Baseball has had for a high school player. And there are two things that kind of come to mind with this story. One is that it just further, I think, solidifies my initial reaction to Ethan Holiday being drafted. It's not just the nostalgia of, oh, it's the son of Matt Holiday, and remember all the fun things that Matt Holiday did as a member of the Colorado Rockies. Like, that's part of it. But it's also the player, obviously. And Ethan Holiday being the top high school player, that is a little bit lost in this story because it's, you know, the way that this story is covered, it wouldn't matter if Matt Holiday's kid was as good as me at baseball. Like, it was just the fact, oh, it's Ethan Holiday, Matt Holiday's son. Well, if you set that aside for a moment and forget his last name, not that the Rockies are, because, again, it's a package deal, especially for them. But Ethan Holiday is the best high school player in this draft. The Rockies didn't reach for Ethan Holiday. In fact, he might have fallen to them because of the $9 million bonus he's getting. Whenever the MLB draft comes along, it's a unique animal, and it's different than other sports because signability becomes part of it, and you only have so much money that you can spread around amongst your draft class. So there's some thoughts that maybe Ethan Holiday could have gone earlier had it not been for the bonus ask from him and his camp. So perhaps it was some good fortune for the Rockies that he was available at 4. But it just further fortifies what the Rockies think of Ethan Holiday. He is their great hope, right? It's nostalgia, and it's the son of Matt Holiday, but beyond that, it's the best high school player in the country. And by the way, a high school player is not something that the Rockies usually go for. And it's hard to separate the Holiday family of it all and separate who he is as a player regardless of his last name. It's all encompassing. But Ethan Holiday, the baseball player, is really good. And so the Rockies are banking on deviating from what has been their modus operandi, it seems like, over the last few years of going heavy. And they ended up going heavy in the college ranks, certainly, but going with a high school player with their top draft pick, something they hadn't done in their last 5 first-round picks that they've had. They're paying him like, we're expecting you to lead us back to, I don't want to say the promised land because we're talking about the Rockies here. Let's take baby steps here. Take us to relevance again. Usher in the next era of watchable Rockies baseball. I think that's, and they probably make it sound a little bit nicer than I am, but let's just call it what it is. The next time the Rockies are relevant, competitive in some form or fashion, they expect Ethan Holiday to be at the forefront of that, and they're paying him like it. Now, there's another aspect of this, too, that it doesn't, provide any solace for Rockies fans. But one thing, and I told DJ this when we were discussing it earlier this afternoon, one thing you can't say about the Rockies, and they get lumped in with like the A's or the Royals or the Reds or some of these notorious, small market, low budget teams. They're not afraid to spend. That's not the issue here with this team. They spent on Chris Bryant, and you could talk about the merits of Chris Bryant and why they signed him, but the fact of the matter is they signed him to an incredibly lucrative contract. They signed Mike Hampton and Denny Nagel back in the day. They signed Nolan Arenado to a massive extension. The problem with the Rockies is not that they spend money. And Ethan Holiday is another example. Now, $9 million for a Major League Baseball team is not much, but given that he's the fourth pick and this is a record signing bonus, this is a sign that the Rockies are spending. That's not the problem. The money they spend is not the issue. They should spend money given how that ballpark is normally full, or at least they're well patroned in relationship to how bad of a baseball team it is. The problem is not that they don't spend. The problem is what they do with that money. And I think the $9 million for Ethan Holiday, the player, is well spent. Now let's see if the Rockies can develop him. That's the other half of this that I don't know that I feel great about. But as I said, when he was drafted by the Rockies, I may not trust the organization, but I trust his dad. And I trust his brother and the support system he has. So I look at this, it's certainly notable, but it is money that they had to spend, and they're also getting some added benefit to it, being able to sign Ethan Holiday to a $9 million signing bonus, and now the road for him begins. And I'm saying that the night after the Rockies actually win a game, but the series or the season has gone the way it has. 719-247-1313. We'll get into some Broncos conversation in a little bit later. Sean Payton speaking today, kind of interesting. I think 2 points I want to highlight. One is where the Broncos are with some of these contract extension talks, whether it be Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, or Cortland Sutton. And then Sean Payton took it upon himself to dispel some commonly held myths in the NFL regarding his quarterback. And we'll get to those throughout the program as well. Drive Time Sports live from the DOD Warrior Games. More after this on Extra Sports 1300. Welcome in hour 2 here live at the Department of Defense Warrior Games on the campus of Colorado College. Appreciate you tuning in or watching the show on our social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The handle, all the same, at XTRA Sports 1300. Rolling right along. We got another guest joining me right now, and let's talk to. We've had a good mix, but we were looking for our first member of Team Navy, and now we have it. Fire Controlman Chief Chris Garces, my guest. Pleasure to have you. How are you?
It's great being here.
So first and foremost, how has it been going for you from a competition standpoint?
Competition, I wouldn't say I've been doing great, but I've been having fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I guess it's been about. So.
Oh, for sure. And so what did you compete in track? What events did you do this, earlier today?
Track. I had track earlier today. I was in these wheelchairs since I had an injury to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one, it was okay. It was fun.
Yeah. And what distance did you
I had
go?
100 meter,
Okay.
200 meter, and then 400 meter.
Okay.
So.
And is there a distance that you prefer? For me, it would be as short. If they could give me a 50 meter, I would do the 50 meter. But do you like the shorter or the longer distances?
I like the 100 meter at first, but you have to correct yourself a little bit faster.
No.
But then the 400 meter, I was hopefully the other person gets tired,
Mm-hmm.
and then I could catch up, but that didn't happen.
But what has that adjustment been like to, compete in a wheelchair?
Well, since I can't run at the moment,
Right.
It's been, I guess, a good alternative,
Oh, for sure.
So-
But I got to imagine that it's an adjustment period, getting.
I guess when I was in the hospital, I was in the hospital for like a couple of months, so that was my main way of transporting
Sure.
the wheelchair.
Okay.
So it was okay. It just seeing the 3-wheel racing wheelchair was kind of cool. It's like, oh, I like this one.
Yeah. You get up and you go a little bit more on one of those than the 2-wheel or the 4.
The other thing you got to learn is like when you sit in it, you can't lean back because if you lean back, whoop,
Yeah.
you'll fly back, and it's like I learned that. Wait, it wasn't too hard of a fall, but
Good. Well, you're still here, so that's good news. So is this your first Warrior game
yes,
that you've competed in? So what we talked about, maybe the results not being there, but has the experience overall lived up to kind of maybe what you heard, maybe what you were told, just everything that comes along with it, not just the competition, but everything else.
I think being around everybody,
Yeah.
actually meeting all the new people and everything, that's been like the best part of it, because even if I didn't get to compete and getting to be with the people I've been with,
Mm-hmm.
that's I always enjoy coming to the camps every time we have a training, and then we see each other in other programs that we do together. That's been I think that's been the best part, and even people I haven't met, because you always randomly meet newly injured people.
Sure.
And it's been good so far. I've had no problems with that.
Yeah. Chris Garces, my guest representing Team Navy here at the DOD Warrior Games. When you were injured, did you think that, hey, at some point I'm going to be, competing in track and all of these kind of events? I mean, I can't imagine that's the top of your mind at the time.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, I never participated in sports in high school. So like,
Right.
this is like the most sports I've done. Like, when they're like, so I was doing wheelchair basketball. I was like, I don't know any of this. It's like, I'm saying all these terms. Like, but at least the coach, he saw the look on my face, like look at confusion. So at least he was able to guide me, and that's like, hey, do this, do this.
Yeah.
I said, okay. But yeah, all the sports were fun. Some of the stuff I already like biking, swimming,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned to be better at it. So
Yeah.
that's the best part of the good part of it. So I like that part of it. And then archery, never shot a bow and arrow.
Bow and arrow, yeah.
So that's been fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And are you going to take some, because you met obviously swimming and some of the other things you could do recreationally. I've heard from a lot of people that did archery, they're like, I'm going to do this like all the time, like as a hobby now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to get one of my own.
Yeah.
So it's like, but they had the competition was like, when they said G, like 3Gs, like, a little more budget friendly.
Yeah, I'll go. Well, toy stores don't exist anymore because we all shop online, but just go to Amazon and get just regular bow and arrows. Fine, right? Yeah.
In my backyard.
Right. Well, when you graduate to the $3,000 one at some point, I'm sure Chris Garces is my guess. So, what was tell me about your job in the Navy and where the Navy kind of took you.
Basically, I've been majority of my career. I've been in Norfolk area,
Oh, right.
West Virginia, where I was on 2 ships, and then I was on the shore duty twice, where I was in the schoolhouse. So I work on normally electronic radars, and then weapon systems. So, and when I was in the schoolhouse, I just taught what everything that I knew or supervised also. At the same time.
That's got to be a reward, kind of the paying it forward, like teaching up the next group, right?
Yeah, I think what I like because you always have the new sailors that are coming in, so you can at least try and mentor them. Hopefully, like somewhat kind of mold them the short period of time that you have them. So that's always good to meeting new people. Yeah, because a lot of these students have characters like sometimes they say things are really, but you get used to them. It's kind of like a family, I guess. Also, meeting new family, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So, what's what are the plans the rest of the week, competition wise, but also are you going to get out and cheer on, watch some of the other sports? What's your plan for the rest of the week?
I know I got archery tomorrow.
Right, and you'll be here, so I'll see you.
And then I also have what's called on Saturday I have swimming.
Okay.
So that's why I'm kind of nervous, but I've been having fun at the same time, like losing my breath and then up here. I was like, we'll see how much the altitude has an effect on me.
Yeah, how is I like to ask all these athletes, especially those of you from back east and stuff, how has the altitude treated you?
Mostly I noticed it when I was going walk, like see like I'm walking up this hill. Like I had one of my teammates who was I was pushing his wheelchair. It was like it was kind of rough, but did it.
Yeah. Do you have some of your people here, family, friends, anybody come out here with you?
Oh, my son, he came out,
cool.
And then my sister just came in last night.
Yeah.
So she was here, watched me run wheelchair,
Right.
on track. But yeah, they're both here to support me.
Yeah, and how has it been to be able to compete in front of? I mean, your sister and stuff is cool and all, but your son, right? I mean, he's number one. So how has it been to have him watching you compete?
It's been good. Yeah, he's been having fun. It's like, I like spending time with him when I get a chance because he doesn't live with me. So every time he comes, it's always been a good time.
Yeah.
So I have no complaints.
Yeah. And how old is your boy?
He's 22.
Okay, so growing up, you got some years on me. My oldest is 16. So what off air, I'll ask you what to expect out of the next 6 years. But yeah, to be able to compete, and also not that you have like people like me tell my kids about what I did in like high school or whatever, like these sports that don't matter at all in the long run, but you're like able to live your sports glory days. These are your sports glory days, Chris, right? And your family is getting to see you. Do you come from a big sports family? Like, did your sister compete or anything?
No, she was more into music.
Oh, okay.
So she was, piano sort of thing. But and then my dad was sports, but it's mostly gambling. So so it wasn't a good aspect.
Right. And when they're not watching you compete. I know that Fisher House and the DOD has gone all out to make it a great experience, not just for you, but for your family as well. How have they enjoyed that experience when they're not watching you compete?
The Fisher House, how they,
Well, I just mean, I know that we have the family zone over there, and I don't know, 22. Some of this stuff may not appeal to your 22-year-old, but how is the experience, being here in Colorado Springs for them?
he's liked it. Yeah, they both liked it. They were hoping that it's going to be here next year again.
Yeah.
To say that my sister, she likes Colorado,
Mm.
how it's dry, and everything. And, the mountains are beautiful. But yeah, they've been enjoying it. It's my first time my son's seen like mountains this big, like up close.
Mm.
So he was excited. Like he came in late. It was like Saturday night or something like that. Yeah, like Friday night, and it's nighttime, so you can see his view from the hotel. And he woke up in the morning.
Okay.
He's like, yeah,
Mhm.
he's surprised, and he like really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, I hear that it's San Antonio, so it's not
Yeah.
back here. A little bit different view out the window next year in San Antonio, but soon enough you'll be back here in Colorado, I'm sure. Well, Chris, it was a pleasure to get to talk to you. Congratulations on the competition so far. Best of luck in archery, and I guess we'll see you coming up in the next couple of days. I'm sure we'll run into each other.
Thanks so much for great meeting you.
Yeah, great being you as well. Chris Garces from Team Navy joining me here on Drive Time Sports. We'll take a break and have more from Colorado College right after this on Extra Sports 1300. Riot Fest 2025, 3 days of live music from over 90 artists in Douglas Park, Chicago this September. Joe Budden, not one of them, but plenty of big-time headliners: Green Day, Blink-182, Weezer, Jack White, and more. And right now we're hooking up one winner with a VIP trip for two to Riot Fest, including flights, hotel, 3-day VIP tickets to Riot Fest, plus $200 to raid the merch store. All you need to do to win is text the national keyword, which right now is, what is today? Wednesday? Senses. Nope. Pistols. Wrong Wednesday. Pistols. Pistols. Text that to 95819 and you'll be entered to win all of that good stuff that I just mentioned from Riot Fest. They are the ones providing the prizes. And if you want more info or full contest rules, just go to extrasports1300.com. So Broncos have reported to training camp. We heard from Mike McGlinchey and Pat Surtain, the leader of the offense and the leader of the defense. Now let's hear from the head coach, Sean Payton. And right now, early on in camp, one of the big storylines is the pending contract extensions for Nick Bonitto, for Zach Allen, and for Courtland Sutton. And Sean Payton was asked specifically about Sutton, who is not holding out over a new contract. He was out there in one of these acclimation practices they were having in Denver today. And whether it's Sutton, whether it's Bonitto, whether it's Zach Allen, or even talking about an early Bo Nix extension 1 year in, Sean Payton does not want to talk about contract extensions. Cut number one, DJ. So good communication, and we certainly haven't gotten any indication from Sutton's camp, Bonitto's camp. In fact, Bonitto spoke about his pending contract extension at his football camp the other day, and he seemed in good spirits about the whole thing. So no animus going on right now, no nastiness between the two sides, which is obviously a positive thing. But if you look at these players, these three players I was talking about in particular, they are in kind of different classes, aren't they? Let's start with Courtland Sutton. If Courtland Sutton were holding out, I would say that would be a very poor move on his part, because Courtland Sutton as a wide receiver is not the level of wide receiver that can hold out. Right, Courtland Sutton, he's been productive for the Denver Broncos. Certainly, they need to look at retaining his services moving forward, at least until one of these other receivers, and you know Sean Payton certainly has a type, right? Tall, big wide receivers. He has a few of them on this roster. None of them have produced the way Courtland Sutton has. So certainly the Denver Broncos should be in the business of keeping Courtland Sutton around. But Courtland Sutton is not on the level of a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson or other elite wide receivers to the point that holding out or even holding in would be, which holding in obviously is being there but not participating in anything. That's not where Courtland Sutton is. And so he needs to be there. He needs to be putting in the work, because the Broncos, with the way they have built this roster, especially in the wide receiver room, you see a few guys that if you squint, tilt your head, maybe do some projection, you could see the next Courtland Sutton on this team. Now, none of them have emerged. So for right now, if the Broncos are in the business of getting back to the playoffs, they need Courtland Sutton. But the idea that Sutton is in this Bronco for life, huge lucrative extension, he's not. He is a year-to-year And I almost feel like a year to year until a Devon Vele or a Pat Bryant now, until they emerge, and then they'll use them as a cheaper version of Cortland Sutton. And so this is a year to year thing, and he's not going to command top dollar. And I don't think that he's going to finish his career with the Denver Broncos. But in the meantime, you look in that wide receiver room, he's the best they got. And he deserves to be compensated for, in a way, services rendered. But this is not a player that I think that the Denver Broncos are really keen to lock up in the long term. So we'll see where they come down. I would say in many ways, Cortland Sutton is the easiest deal to get done, because I think everything I just said, I think Cortland Sutton understands it to an extent. I think he knows where he stands within the organization. I think he has good self-awareness to know where he ranks, if you will, in the pecking order of wide receivers in the NFL. And so I think his deal is going to be probably the easiest to get done, the most straightforward. And look, you want him around. Cortland Sutton's been a good teammate. He's been productive when the rest of the team really has not been, in terms of winning football games. So I am in no way saying Cortland Sutton should be looking for employment elsewhere, but I think that the Broncos are looking for a slightly cheaper version of him. For now, they don't have that. So Cortland Sutton, I think, will get a deal done. I don't know if it's going to be the first one, but I think his deal is pretty straightforward. Then we go kind of to the other end of the spectrum, which is Nick Bonitto, right? Playing a premium position in pass rusher, coming off of a monster year, his contract coming up. I think that's the one that's a more complicated than Cortland Sutton's deal for a variety of reasons, but we've been talking about the Nick Bonitto deal. The one that fascinates me the most is Zach Allen. Because everybody's saying, oh, you got to pay him. You got to. You look at Zach Allen. I don't know because of his age, but I also think that people don't quite understand fully Zach Allen's role and why he has been so productive. And I'll lean on Sean Payton a little bit to make my point for me. Clip number 2, please, DJ. And I would not disagree with that. But you have Zach Allen under contract this year. He's not holding out either. So we're not talking about Zach Allen this year. Zach Allen this year is important to this team. But what Sean Payton mentioned there, the snaps, to give you a better idea of what he's talking about, I think he's underselling it. There is no defensive lineman, or there was, it's past tense, no defensive lineman in the National Football League who played more snaps than Zach Allen. In fact, Zach Allen played 46 more snaps than any other defensive lineman in the National Football League last year. He had 964 snaps. That is a ridiculously high number. So if Sean Payton is going to limit his pitch count, limit his snaps this year, wouldn't it be reasonable to say that Zach Allen's production will go down? I think there's a law of averages that is in play a little bit here with Zach Allen. And I want to be careful because Zach Allen is a great fit for this team and a good football player. But how much of this season, which to many people was kind of a revelation, was based on the fact that he was on the field all the time in a blitz-happy defensive scheme under Vance Joseph. And I did a little bit of digging here. If you look at Zach Allen's numbers, you'll say he's top 10, top 15 in certain statistical categories. But we're not talking batting average here. This is just cute. This is net. This is gross. This is cumulative. If you factor in the amount of time Zach Allen was on the field, he's not a top 10 pass rusher. He's not a top 15 pass rusher. He's barely in the top 25 if you take his production in relationship to the amount of snaps that he plays. So I'm hearing Sean Payton talk about how they're going to decrease the workload of Zach Allen. And I'm hearing that Zach Allen is not going to be as productive in terms of the sheer number of tackles and sacks and pressures that he gets as he was this year. And that's part of the calculation here from the Denver Broncos. To say nothing of the fact that the position he holds within this kind of offense is not as important as Nick Bonitto from the outside in terms of an edge rusher. And I think all of this is playing into the decision-making by George Payton and Sean Payton and what they want to give Zach Allen. They're advertising the fact that Zach Allen is not going to put up the numbers he put up last year. That's what Sean Payton is saying. Now, can he be on this list in the same spot in terms of his numbers in relationship to the number of snaps? Maybe. Maybe he can be effective, but what they deal with when they're hammering out these contract extensions, it's sheer numbers. It's saying, hey, I got this many sacks, I got this many pressures. That's how they talk, and those are the bargaining chips they have. Well, the Broncos can counter with, well, that's all well and good, and we think we're compensating you fairly for what you've done for us before, but we also have to think about what you're going to do for us in the future. And the fact of the matter is they are going to take him off the field with some of these, whether it be Q Robinson, who they drafted out of Alabama, or just some of the guys they already have on the roster. Like, Zach Allen's not going to be on the field as much. And he's not going to put up the numbers that he's put up. So I think this extension becomes the most complicated because he's an older player compared to a Cortland Sutton or certainly a Nick Bonitto. But he's the only one there talking about limiting his role in decreasing the number of snaps. In fact, Sean Payton said it today that they're not talking about limiting Nick Bonitto's snaps. They like where he's at in terms of his pitch count. So, and I've talked about this with Zach Allen. Like, you have to take in the entire picture, and I don't think some people are. Zach Allen is a good player, a great fit in this scheme, and was incredibly productive. He's not going to be that this year, at least in the gross numbers. And I think that makes his extension all the more difficult. And you also have, Nick Bonitto that you got to pay. You have Jonathan Cooper that you've already paid. Like, you can only pay so many guys. And I think there is a clear priority, as there should be, with Nick Bonitto over Zach Allen. And once they get the Bonitto, and maybe Bonitto comes before Zach Allen. But once they figure out Nick Bonitto, then it's, okay, this is what we're willing to give you, Zach Allen. But you can't pay everybody. And at some point, the pass rushers on the Denver Broncos, the younger ones that they have paid, have got to start standing on their own. And so I think that clearly Nick Bonitto is the priority. I think he should be. I think Zach Allen probably is in more of the same boat as Cortland Sutton. You've been productive. We want to reward you for that. You've been good teammates and all of this kind of stuff, but we're not Like, they love Nick Bonito. I'll put it that way. I think they love Nick Bonito. I think they like Cortland Sutton and like Zach Allen. And there's a different kind of contract that is given to the players you like versus the players that you love. But we'll see how these contract negotiations go on. I would say top priority, Benito. I think Sutton probably next, just because no one else in this wide receiver room has emerged for the Denver Broncos. And then you go Zach Allen. Not to say that the Broncos don't want to get all of them done. They do, but there's a pecking order, there's a priority list, and there's reasons behind it. 719-247-1313. Coming up a little bit later, Sean Payton trying to control maybe some of the narratives or push back against some of the narratives when it comes to his young quarterback. In the meantime, we'll take a break and have more Drive Time Sports live from the Department of Defense Warrior Games right after this on Extra Sports 1300. Speaking of the 3-time MVP, he was over in China. I mentioned this the other day that Nikola Jokic was on a tour of China with the sneaker company that his shoes come from. And he was shown a video from Hanson Yang, who you might have started to become familiar with. He was the lottery pick of the Portland Trail Blazers, and people calling him the Chinese Jokic or baby Jokic. You watch the film of him and you see it. You see the vision that the Portland Trail Blazers have, and the fact that they see Nikola Jokic, it's them, it's the Timberwolves, the Thunder. They see Jokic more than anybody else. So if they find a prospect that looks anything like Jokic, they're going to try and get him, because they know how huge it would be for them if they could find their version of Nikola Jokic. And he's looked the part in summer league so far. It's been great, but obviously being asked a lot of questions about Nikola Jokic. And I think somebody asked him, what if you met Nikola Jokic, what would you ask him or whatever? And he said he'd ask for a signature in a picture, and they showed Nikola Jokic the video, and he kind of chuckled about it. But there was something else that came up from that, and I didn't catch it initially. Ray, who's my on-site producer today, sent me the video. I'm like, I've seen this. What is this? Well, it's because Nikola Jokic kind of was talking about, how many years he had left. And he said he had a couple, and then he started doing the math in his head. He's like, oh, I have more than that. I have to do the math or something to that extent. And it just brings into focus that time with Nikola Jokic, it's not going to go for as long as you think it will. It will be over before you're ready for it to be over, before the Nuggets are ready for it to be over. I think more than anything else. And we've kind of known this, like Nikola Jokic doesn't seem like a guy who's going to be playing well into his 40s, like trying to do what LeBron is doing. He's not going to do that. He has other interests. He's got a young family. But it just, when he kind of, I don't know, we'll call it a slip of the tongue, a Freudian slip, whatever it might be, the idea that he can see the end, right? He can do the math and find the end of his career. It's not indefinite. It's not TFN. Nikola Jokic is, I don't know when it's going to be. Is it after this next extension? Is it midway through this extension? Is he not even going to sign an extension at all and just be done when his contract is up? I don't know that answer. But I do know that once, when Nikola Jokic is done, it will be a bit of a surprise. We will not be ready for it. Emotionally, mentally, we won't be ready for it, because he's not going to have a send-off tour. It's not going to come to an end that we expected to. Oh, at the end of this or the end of that. Oh, when he wins the title, he's going to ride off into another title. He's going to ride off into the sunset. No, he's just not going to come back from Serbia one day. Like, that's what I fully envision happening. We're not going to be ready for it. The Nuggets aren't going to be ready for it, but it just further fortifies how imperative it is for the Nuggets to have gotten this right, like it appears they have this offseason, and addressing the needs of this team. And Josh Kroenke, the moves that he made to fire Calvin Booth, fire Michael Malone, how important it was for him to do those things and to act swiftly, maybe even not swift enough, according to Josh Kroenke himself, but how important it is for the Denver Nuggets to get all of this right quickly. Because for them, Nikola Jokic, I don't want to say the clock is ticking. I don't believe it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 years, but it may be in 5. He may sign a 3-year extension, and that might be it. So the Denver Nuggets have to get this right with him quickly, because one title with somebody who is the best player in the world for about 5 years, it's not going to cut it. Is 2 going to be enough? I kind of think that it is, but I know how we sports fans work. Once the Nuggets win their second, it will be, well, when are they going to win their third? But just a little slip there from Nikola Jokic that kind of brings back into focus that Nikola Jokic isn't going to play for the Nuggets forever. And it's not even going to be close to forever. He's going to, again, I think he's just not going to come back from Serbia one day. And we're going to know that that means Nikola Jokic is retired. 719-24-7-1313. We'll take a quick break, come back with our next guest from the Department of Defense Warrior Games here on Extra Sports 1300. Welcome back, Drive Time Sports, live from the DOD Warrior Games. Ryan Kaufman now joined by Annabelle from Populous, who is helping put on the event. Glad to have you, Annabelle. How have things been
Thank you. It's great. We're really happy to be here in Colorado Springs and bring the event back to where it was born from. Weather is presenting some challenges in the evenings, but otherwise our athletes are having a fantastic time. Our friends and family are really enjoying themselves, and we have no complaints. We're loving it here.
Yeah, and you were telling me off air you call Denver home, so you know what our weather can do better than anybody. How I'm sure that every plan you have has a contingency in case Mother Nature acts up.
Absolutely, always. So we start planning this event 12 months out. So what's great is we have a year to think through what the weather's going to do, what the situations are going to play out. So we did have 2 makeup days planned for both track and field, which we were fortunate to not have to use. We have a backup play for archery as well, which we're crossing our fingers we don't have to do. But there's a lot of people behind the magic to get the sport set up, get the operations going. So we're always trying to be one day, one step ahead of both the weather and just the situations as they present themselves.
You mentioned the people behind the scenes. How many people?
So we have over 330 people, either full-time or on contract as part of the event operations staff. Yes.
Yeah, and is everybody under the Populous umbrella, or do you cast a wide net to get some help?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's not considered the people that are part of the Department of Defense. So those are all either Populous employees or subcontractors, partners we've been working with, everything from labor and stagehands to the sport production team to signage production. You name it, we bring on a big crew here to support us.
And you guys ran the when we were here last for the DOD Warrior Games up at the Air Force Academy, yes?
Yeah, so our company got the contract that year as well to support Air Force with the planning of the 2018 Warrior Games. So familiarity in Colorado Springs. This contract is with Big Army, so happy to be supporting that branch in the Warrior Games this year. But yeah, a lot of familiarity both with the client and with the event and hosting it in Colorado Springs.
For you guys at Populous, I'm curious. I'm not going to ask you which event that you like the most, but compare this to other things. Is this a bigger event than you guys normally do? Is this a smaller event?
No, that's a great question. So we do have a team that support in other big events all over the country, including NCAA events, Final Four, NFL, Super Bowl, things like that. For me, this is my favorite event. And I think because of the demographic we're able to serve, this is a population who serve for us. And so to be able to pay that back and almost pay that forward in some regard is amazing. And this event saves lives. I'm sure you've heard it throughout your time here. But just to know that you're putting on a sporting event, an experience, a memory that somebody's going to enjoy for the rest of their life, that has a life-saving component to it, has a recovery component to it, makes every minute of what I do feel really valuable. It feel really worthwhile.
Annabelle from Populous, my guest here on Drive Time Sports. So earlier before you joined me, you were doing some things. What's the next thing on the docket for you?
Yeah, so tomorrow morning, we are hosting archery out on an outdoor field. So we have 30 targets set up with our archers from all 5 service teams here at Washburn Field at Colorado College. So we are just trying to beat the weather to get that set up and get that rolling. And then we are starting to plan our closing ceremony because that's in a couple of days. So getting the logistics and the signage and the sports team together to continue to execute a couple more sports before we have to say our goodbyes.
Is there something that is new or different or tweaked from when it was at Air Force to here? I know different venues and everything, right, brings a lot of it, but I'm curious, like the send-off event you mentioned, how much is new or different from what it was a few years ago?
Yeah, so the event itself is always changing and evolving, one with the demographic of the athletes, as the athletes are constantly changing throughout the years as well. And so we constantly try to find ways where our events are both impactful and intentional. And so really our focus on the delivery of our closing ceremony, for example, this year is truly focusing on the athletes and their families. It's not a huge production. It's not a long show. It's the end of the event. So people are tired. People are leaving the next morning on early flights. So we want to give them a really great send-off, literally, that focuses on memories, a collection of memories throughout the week, highlights from the sports, and truly that focus on the athlete and their friends and family. So that's what we're highlighting.
Yeah, and it's fitting, right? Because I heard from so many people Jon Stewart giving the address the first night of it. That felt very intimate. That felt very family and competitor focused. And it was, we talk about it here in Colorado Springs, how intimate Ropes and Arena is just as a venue when we talk about hockey. But it does seem like that was very intentional for night one for the opening, and it's going that kind of, and I don't know if theme's the right word, but that it's going to go through to the closing as well, being very focused on the competitors and their families.
Yeah, absolutely. Our, Populous as an architecture firm as its core, we redesign venues for the purpose of what we are now designing it for the client.
Mm-hmm.
And so in looking at the kickoff, we wanted a more formal, a more opening type of setting. Most people remember an opening ceremony more than they remember a closing ceremony. And so having kind of the lighting, bringing everybody together for the first time. It's the first event our athletes and friends and family are there for. So that was really the focus in highlighting them. The send-off, the tone is a little more different as this outdoor celebration, this community, this coming together, kind of, exchanging phone numbers and exchanging contacts in more of an organic way, and not being so focused on kind of the protocol, and instead being a celebration essentially is what we're focusing on. And so we are hosting it at Warrior Games Plaza. We're completely converting the space to host our ceremony there. And so we want to bring people. We've got pictures highlighting our staff, our volunteers, our friends and family, our athletes, and just want to take a moment to celebrate both the competitive success and some of our awards of Ultimate Champion, celebrating the heart and the soul behind the games with our Heart of the Team ceremony, in addition to celebrating the athletes and everybody who brought this together.
I talked with somebody yesterday who is one of the competitors in the UC division. Talk about the Heart of the Team. What is that all?
Yeah, great question. So the Heart of the Team award, what's really special about it is all of the athletes get to vote on the individual in their team who represents the heart of their team. And so it's kind of your unofficial team captain almost, of they emulate the spirit, the mind, the teamwork, the camaraderie of all of the service members, and really bringing that vision of Warrior Games to life within their team themselves. So the teams will vote on that individual, and then we get an opportunity to celebrate that individual at our send-off event.
I do not get a vote, but I would guess that I think Roro, who joined me earlier from Team Air Force, may have a good chance to be that for Air Force, but we'll see. Have you gotten to watch and enjoyed this? I know, you're enjoying the work you're doing, and that's what's most important, and that's what you're here to do. But I gotta imagine you'd like to take a few minutes to kind of check out some of these events as well. Have you been able to do that?
Absolutely. I tell my team to enjoy the small moments and to take a minute to reflect on the work that we've done here. So I got to watch some indoor rowing, which was super exciting. Packed venue, really loud, really energetic. I got to go over to wheelchair rugby last night, looking forward to going to finals tonight. And then one of my favorites is swimming. So I will definitely be in the swimming venue watching some of our athletes compete there.
Well, good. I am glad. Thank you, Annabelle, for taking some time, and keep up the good work. It's been a really fun week, and we still have quite a bit of time left. So I'll let you get back to it, but thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
You bet. We'll take a break and have more Drive Time Sports live from Colorado College right after this on Extra Sports 1300.
Thank you.
Welcome in, welcome back to the Department of Defense Warrior Games. Ryan Kaufman with you here on Extra Sports 1300. Now joined by our next guest. He is Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Peters, talking about Team Army. Sergeant Peters, it's a pleasure to have you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
So how is just, let's start, because I know that there's a lot that you're experiencing this week. Let's first talk about the competition. How has the competition gone for you so far?
The competitions have gone great. My first event was cycling. Then I did field, and then today I did track. In cycling, I got gold on the time trial and in the road race.
Oh, nice.
In field, on the discus I got gold, and then today on all 5 track events I had 100, the 200, the 400, 800, and 1500, and then we did the relay as well. I was on the relay team.
And gold, silver.
We had combined classes in my division, so it'd be hard to tell, but
Okay.
definitely top 2 or 3.
Oh, awesome. Are those any of those sports that you've competed in so far? Are they sport? I know some of them you can do recreationally, but I'm curious, biking or swimming or anything like that, is that something that you've done in the past, or are you picking these things up new for this event?
So cycling was a big part of my recovery process. So that's one thing I've gained. Running, before I joined the Army, I played soccer for 14 years. So running's just always been a natural thing for me. And I like to swim. That's one I picked up. I never swam very much before the Warrior Games. It's just one of the other things that helped me recover. Gain movement back on my left side.
Well, I grew up out near probably about, I think I was about 90 minutes from Goodland. Kansas is where on the Colorado side, and you're from Kansas. So even though pools exist, I do find like swimming was never really a big thing for me either. And I think it has a little bit some eastern Colorado, Kansas, a little bit of that. You're from, where is Fort Riley, by the way?
So Fort Riley is right next to Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
That's where the Wildcats are.
Okay.
And I grew up about 3 hours away from there in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. So I was going to ask, I was going to ask if you're a Wildcat fan. So you're a Blue Jay fan.
Cornhuskers.
Oh, okay. Huskers. How many people in the state of Nebraska are actually Creighton Blue Jays fans?
Not enough.
Not enough. How do you feel about the rekindling of the Nebraska CU rivalry over the last couple of years with Deion Sanders and Dylan Raiola?
I have not been following. I've been way out of commission for a while.
Doing more important things. That's all good. Jeffrey Peters, my guest, Team Army. You talked about cycling. So cycling wasn't something that you did, but it was something that they is in that sentence kind of told you that, hey, for your recovery, cycling would be a great thing for you to do.
I kind of discovered it on my own because,
oh, really?
Yes, I had a bike in my garage, and after the stroke, I was still learning how to walk and trying to get out of a wheelchair. And then I had a walker, cane. My wife would hold my hand, help me walk. And then as soon as I was able to walk unassisted, I was just testing my limits of seeing what I could and couldn't do. And one of the things I had in my garage was a bike. And there's a hill behind my house, just all grass, so it's a good place to fall down a lot of times. I just practiced going down the hill, balancing on the bike, and falling over until took a few days, and then I was able to just cycle out of the hill, and that part of my recovery is just real close to me. And through that, I became really passionate on the bike.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things. And then the SRU, the recovery care program, they had cycling. They had recumbent bikes, hand cycle bikes. They had all sorts of bikes for me to try out, which were perfect for me with my brain injury.
Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Peters, my guest here on Drive Time Sports. You talked about, pushing your limits and seeing what you could do. What does competing in an event like Warrior Games tell you about what you're able to do and where your limits are, or more accurately aren't?
So throughout the Warrior Games, I'm really just kind of breaking the confines of my injury.
Mm-hmm.
So it's limitless what I can do.
Yeah.
And every day I'm finding out where those, how much more I can break the confines of my injury.
Mm-hmm.
Like just for example, on the bike, it took me 3 months to get my butt off the saddle of that. And that was something I never thought I'd be able to do. And while it's a real small thing, it's stuff like that that just pushes me forward.
Mm-hmm.
Just another milestone.
Mm-hmm. How is it? You say your wife here? Watching?
My wife and 3 kids are here.
And 3 kids.
They've been supporting me in all my events.
Mm-hmm.
It was a long day at the track today, but she's relaxing right now with the boys.
How old are your boys?
6, 9, and 12.
Okay, so I have a 16 and a 13-year-old. How is this with obviously everything, serving in the Army and then, the stroke and everything like that? How rewarding is it for you to have them watch you do what we talked about, you pushing your limits and everything, to have your boys especially watching you do that? How important is that to you?
It's very important because they were there when I couldn't move the left side of my body, and they're also a big part of my recovery. I remember I used to would drag myself around just wrestling with them with my good side of my body on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always a big part of my recovery. So when they see me competing in the Warrior Games, it just sets an example for them that you can do anything that you put your mind to.
Yeah, very, very cool. And your wife, obviously, and I've talked about this throughout the last couple of days, we don't give the spouses, the kids, enough credit for the commitment they make to our country and the way that they serve. So to have your wife, as she has been this whole time, by your side, I got to imagine that's pretty awesome, because what they're doing for the families and stuff while you guys are competing is great too. How has it been for your wife?
I'm extremely blessed to have her by my side. The family care program's been great with her. They've done a lot for her and the boys. They provide a lot of services that they help her to be able to watch the games, and it keeps the kids busy. And she likes being able to see all the progress because she's been just as big a part of it as my kids and everything else. She was the one that when I was learning how to walk again, she would hold my hand, we'd walk up and down the street. And so it's pretty emotional for her as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just amazing to hear how far you've been able to come, and now you're winning medals. I'm still looking for the first athlete to come over here and wear one of their medals. Do you have any medals yet? I know the track ones are given out tomorrow. Yeah. So do you have any, and you're just hiding them? Why are you not wearing them around?
Yeah, I don't like to showboat, really,
Yeah.
but I do have 4. I got 3 gold and a silver. They're back in the room.
Okay. Not like maybe the boys could wear them.
And they did.
Oh, okay, cool.
They definitely put them on and had fun with them. And then at the track today, they had a kids sprint, so then they all ran. Then they all got medals for running. So now they got their own.
So yeah, they're like, Dad, we don't care about your medals anymore. We got our own. All right. So what's the schedule for you competition wise? If people want to come out and watch you compete, what do you got left?
My next and last event will be swimming on the 26th.
On Saturday.
I believe that's Saturday.
So, yeah, days. I'm not any good with them. All right. I will let you get back to your family and get back to polishing your medals, because I know that's what you're actually going to do, even though you won't say it. Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Peters, it's an honor and a pleasure, sir. Congratulations on your success and here at the Warrior Games, but also, I mean, what you've been able to accomplish in your life is pretty amazing as well. So thanks so much for the time.
Well, thank you for your support.
Yeah, and my pleasure. That is Jeffrey Peters, Sergeant First Class, representing Team Army here at the DOD Warrior Games. We'll take a break. Welcome back, Drive Time Sports at the Department of Defense Warrior Games here on the campus of Colorado College. My thanks to all of our guests today. They have been numerous and they've all been amazing to speak with. And that's the whole point of us being here, is to be able to bring you these stories. And also when they find out how not a big deal I am and how not a big deal this show is, they might be a little bit disappointed. But in the meantime, they to be able to give them some publicity for what they're doing, it's just awesome. Just programming, kind of a schedule. Tomorrow I'll be back in studio because they're doing a lot of family and friends focused things tomorrow here at the Warrior Games. That does not mean there are not competitions. There are, so you should definitely come out. But in terms of me doing the show out here, I'll be back again on Friday, and this hallway that I'm in right outside of Reed Arena here at Colorado College is going to be quite full. It will be a lot of fun on Friday to kind of end our coverage with a crescendo with so many people out here for sitting volleyball and archery and all the sports coming up on Friday. But DOD Warrior Games.com, go there, check out the schedule if you can make some time. I think that rugby finals are an hour from now? About an hour from now, and it will be SOCOM against Air Force, and then the bronze match will be Army versus Marine Corps.
It's SOCOM and Army.
SOCOM and Army,
Yeah.
That's right. SOCOM and Army, and that was, Ray and I were out there watching, and the Army Air Force game was coming down to the wire, and we didn't see who actually ended up winning. SOCOM was quite down. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with SOCOM. But in fairness, I had told, and Ray's gone now, so he can't tell me that I'm lying. I told him yesterday when we came out and watched some of the rugby that I'm like, this SOCOM team, they got some dudes on that team. So we'll see if they finish the job and bring home a goal. But that was an amazing. I unfortunately didn't get. Ray got to see rowing. I didn't get to see rowing. That's the other atmosphere that I would have loved to have been in. But that wheelchair rugby, and I've talked about it the last couple of days. Like, it is. Ray and I were talking. He's like, "Would you ever do that?" And I was like, "No, I would not, because I would be deathly afraid of my fingers getting all smashed up," which tells you I am not cut from the same cloth as our competitors here this week at the DOD Warrior Games. But as a spectator, amazing. And that's going on. So if you're out and about, perhaps on the roadways of Colorado Springs, and you're like, yeah, I think I'll delay going home, or maybe not go see a movie or whatever you had planned, come out here to CC, to Robeson Arena, and check out the wheelchair rugby finals. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. Shifting gears here, earlier you heard from Sean Payton talking, or more accurately, not talking about extension talks with Cortland Sutton, with Nick Benito, with Zach Allen, and me putting them kind of into their proper groups or order of importance for the Denver Broncos to get done. Of course, there's a lot of talk about Bo Nix, and there was a lot of talk about Bo Nix today. And I found it interesting that Sean Payton took it upon himself today to kind of push back against some of the narratives, some of the talking points that people like me have in the media. Let's first start with the idea that Bo Nix is the perfect fit, quote unquote, with Sean Payton. That is clip number 3, DJ. Now, that's an interesting take that he has, because the question was just pretty straightforward. I mean, how is that, people are seeing how good of a fit you and Bo Nix are. And the question was, what makes that marriage, so to speak, work? And Sean Payton kind of understands what, I don't know if the person asking the question meant it this way, but a lot of the way that the media talks about this perfect fit, I don't think Sean Payton is necessarily wrong. We look at Bo Nix, and he was not as highly touted as many of the quarterbacks in his draft. It looked to be a reach of Bo Nix. And that's why people are chalking it up to, well, he's got the perfect fit with Sean Payton. But there are other players that are perfect fits. I don't think it's just used as a way to take a player that you were low on and explain why they're good. I think we talk about fit even more so now more than ever with quarterbacks, because we understand better that more often than not, it's the teams that fail the players rather than the players being bust. But clearly Sean Payton is starting to get a little defensive about Bo Nix because he doesn't maybe hear, and we know Sean Payton listens to the national media. Maybe he doesn't listen to it, take it to heart, but he certainly hears it and wants to push back against it when he has the opportunity to do so. But look, it is what it is, as much as I hate that phrase. Bo Nix is a perfect fit with Sean Payton. I said as much when this draft process started last year, that Bo Nix would be a perfect fit with Sean Payton. But you know who else would be a perfect fit with Sean Payton? Caleb Williams, Drake May. So they can be a perfect fit, and you're not trying to minimize who the quarterback is. But that leads into what has been a bit of a hot button issue this week. I certainly noticed this with Broncos fans on social media. And I think it's coming from Bomani Jones. I think Bomani Jones the other day on his podcast called Bo Nix a scheme merchant or something to that effect, basically saying that the only reason that Bo Nix was successful last year and the only reason that anybody thinks Bo Nix is going to be good moving forward is because of the scheme he finds himself in. So I think the timing perhaps of that clip from Bomani Jones, which is going viral, and Sean Payton hearing about it, I timed with that question, I think is what kind of set him off today. But I don't think that assessment is necessarily wrong. Is it the only reason? No. But you look at Bo Nix, who is not as physically gifted as a Jaden Daniels. Why was he so successful? Yeah, because of the scheme, because he's a perfect fit. It doesn't have to be diminishing who Bo Nix is. It's a fact. And what I saw last year, my biggest takeaway from this season of Bo Nix going into year 2, Sean Payton's got to trust Bo Nix more. I think there were opportunities for Sean Payton to let Bo Nix off the leash, if you will, and he chose not to do it. I think he was confining him to the scheme and to what he wanted, putting him in that box. So I don't think it's wrong for those on the outside to point out the fact that it looked like Bo Nix was in a little bit of a box, that he was being schemed up to be successful. I think it's absolutely true. Now, the question ultimately becomes, when Sean Payton cannot keep him in that box, or when the time comes that Bo Nix has to get out of that box, is he capable? That's not something that you ask during a rookie year. Year 1 with Bo Nix was successful. It was good. Sean Payton did the right thing. But moving forward, especially you look at the Broncos' record in close games and against the elite teams, the Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore. If the Broncos are going to get to where they want to go this year, they're going to have to win some of those games. And in order to win some of those games, Bo Nix is going to have to make plays. He's going to have to make off-script plays for the Denver Broncos to win some of these games. And we'll see if Sean Payton trusts him to be able to do that. And if he does, if Bo Nix is capable of doing that. But I don't think that the assessment that people have is necessarily wrong watching Bo Nix in year one, because I see the same thing. Where we're all disagreeing is what he's going to be moving for. If Sean Payton has to keep Bo Nix in that box forever in order for Bo Nix to be successful, I find myself somewhere in the middle. Do I think that Bo Nix, we're going to talk about him in the same breath as Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? No, I don't think he's ever going to get there. But is he capable of more than Sean Payton allowed him to be capable of last year? Yeah, I think so. I think he's closer to that than being an elite quarterback in this league. But I do want Sean Payton to let him out a little bit, let him play outside of the scheme, and make it look like Bo Nix is making some plays on his own, because it just didn't seem like he was doing that. It seemed like he was very – you know what I would liken it to, just because I saw this movie like a week ago? And it won't spoil the movie. So if you haven't seen Superman, don't worry, it's not spoiling the movie. Where Lex Luthor is basically calling out the moves that the villain or one of the villains in the movie did on Superman, like that's what it felt like Sean Payton was doing. Okay, now do C-17, now do A6, now D5, now D5 again. It all felt very controlled, very scripted when it comes to Bo Nix, but he's a rookie and you need to do that. But eventually the scaffolding has to come off of these guys, the training wheels, if you will, have to come off. And that's what some of this year, but certainly a year 3 is going to be from Bo Nix's development standpoint. So I get why Sean Payton's being a little defensive, but I don't think it's wrong to point that out, because it's something that I've pointed out in the past. Now, the other narrative that Sean Payton spent today pushing back against, and I've said this, and I've heard many people, even Bronco-friendly state-run media for the Broncos, has mentioned this before. The idea that in year 2, now it's the defensive coordinator's job across the league to catch up to what Bo Nix was able to do last year. Here's Sean Payton on that phenomenon. That's clip 5, DJ. So the idea there is Sean Payton pushing back against the idea that defensive coordinators have not had ample time to figure out Bo Nix. Like they weren't able to do it during the season. So now they're locking in on what Bo Nix does well, what he does not do well, and trying to figure it out. I don't think he's wrong in that, certainly, but you have more time now than ever before. So, yes, we saw teams start to make adjustments against the Broncos and Bo Nix as the Broncos came down the stretch of the season. Not a coincidence. There were games that the Broncos dropped down the stretch of the season as well. So it's not that this is the first time that defensive coordinators are going to be able to sit down and really study Bo Nix, but it's the most time. And they'll have the most film to be able to do it. So I think that while Sean Payton is right, and he certainly knows how to answer these kind of questions, he's not wrong in what he's saying, but also he knows full well, because his defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph, is probably doing this with Jaden Daniels as we speak, taking in more of the film, doing more of the homework on a Jaden Daniels. And maybe that's a bad example because he wasn't on their schedule last year. But other quarterbacks, like they'd be doing the same thing. It's more time, it's more film. It absolutely is. And there will be defensive coordinators. And here's the other phenomenon that happens in the NFL. The offense is always ahead of the defense. And then the defense catches up, and it's on the offense to catch back up in this cat and mouse game back and forth. Defensive coordinators are going to have some new tricks up their sleeve for Bo Nix. And they will spend more time studying him this offseason, and they will have more tape to look at. I don't think that that's just a made-up narrative. I think that's a real thing. And we're going to be able to see right out of the chute this year. Sean Payton has talked about how important it is for the Broncos to get out of the gate faster. He mentioned it again today, that they got to do better in the first few weeks of the season than they did this year. The reason why they didn't start off very well last year was obvious. They had a rookie quarterback making his first NFL starts. This year, if the Broncos don't start off well, or if they start 0-2 like they did last year, I would look to how defenses are playing Bo Nix and see if they've caught up to him a little bit, because I think that they're going to, and I think that's going to make it more difficult for the Broncos to have the hot start to the year that Sean Payton says is so vital. Interesting stuff from Sean Payton, certainly earlier today, but I think that the quote-unquote narratives that are out there, he wants to label them narratives, basically talking points, whatever. He's trying to diminish them and say they're not true. I think in this case with Bo Nix that there's a lot of truth to both of them. Take your thoughts on that, 719-247-1313. Back to the DOD Warrior Games right after this on Extra Sports 1300. the national keyword, which is pistols, PISTOLS. Text that to 95819 and you will be entered to win that VIP trip for two to Chicago for Riot Fest this September. But stay listening the rest of this week, all into next week. Plenty of opportunities for you to get entered, but you got to be listening to hear those national keywords. The prize is provided by the fine folks at Riot Fest, and you can find out more information and see the full contest rules at extrasports1300.com. Couple of your texts on this Wednesday afternoon talking about Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Are people are diminishing what Bo Nix was able to accomplish, writing off what he did, explaining away what he did? This is from the 719. Bo Nix will be the reason Sean Payton will be fired. Nix is who he is. He's at his ceiling. I guarantee he regresses this year with a tougher schedule. I don't know how much tougher the schedule is on paper, but for the very reason that I just headlined, when it comes to the defensive coordinators, it will be tougher for Bo Nix. Because also, too, and this is not the be-all, end-all, but isn't this a part of it? Broncos aren't sneaking up on anybody this year. I didn't mention that when talking about defensive coordinators and the homework they're going to be doing. Now it's not, oh, we got a rookie quarterback. Let's feast on this guy and let's have him seeing ghosts. Like, I think there were teams last year that thought that, especially early on in the year, that thought, oh, we can make light work of the Denver Broncos. As much respect as they had for Sean Payton, there had to be some of that going on, right? There had to be. So especially early on in this season, I think that there were defensive coordinators, teams that maybe took the Broncos lightly, and they paid for it. Credit to the Denver Broncos. They made them pay for it. But now they're not sneaking up on it. Now they're getting everyone's full and undivided attention. Every team on the Broncos schedule, and this is a credit to the Denver Broncos. It sounds like a backhanded compliment because everyone just goes in assuming that I'm, disparaging the Denver Broncos, and I'm not always doing that. But like now they have everyone's full attention. Now every team in the NFL knows, from the Chiefs all the way down, that they got to be at their best to be the Denver Broncos. But I think they're going to get everybody's best shot this year. They're not sneaking up on anybody. And these defensive coordinators have more time. And as DJ pointed out correctly via text, they have a larger body of work to work off of when it comes to Bo Nix, more film. So I think all of this plays into it. Not one thing is going to ultimately make the difference between Bo Nix being a success in year two and him not. But it's all a part of it. And I think that it is part of the reason why we won't. And I'm just talking about the eyeball test. Numbers-wise, who knows? Evan Ingram in the red zone. Maybe the touchdowns will go up a little bit. I talked about this the other day. I don't think 40 touchdowns is out of the realm of possibility for Bo Nix this year, but I'm just talking about the way it looks, the way it feels. Because right now with Bo Nix, we can break down film and we could talk about X's and O's, but right now it's a feel. Until year three, until the year that we expect all of these quarterbacks to really pop and show that they're franchise quarterbacks, it's just, how does it look? How does it feel? Do you think that there's more there or not? And this year, I'm not calling out a certain stat that he's going to be down in. I just think we're going to watch the Denver Broncos and watch Bo Nix and be like, it doesn't feel as good as it did last year. And I think it's the higher expectations. I think it's teams not taking the Broncos lightly. I think it's defensive coordinators catching up a little bit. I think all of this plays into it. And I don't think Sundays with Bo Nix are going to feel quite as good. But I will say this as my normal disclaimer. all hope will not be lost. Even if he regresses this year, I'm still telling you, we're all building up towards year 3. I know we don't have the patience to do that, but that's what it is. It's year 3. That's when Bo Nix really has to pop. That's when the training wheels have to be completely off. That's when Bo Nix has to show that he's a franchise quarterback. This year's about trying to fight against that regression while getting closer to being a franchise quarterback. This is kind of the weird middle ground this year. I don't think Sean Payton will be fired. I think Sean Payton's going to walk away on his own terms. I do. And I saw this. It actually brings up something I saw the other day. I don't know if you saw this from Colin Cowherd. He was talking about the Sean Payton effect and how the Denver Broncos are one of the top 10, in some places top 5 rosters in the NFL. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints are one of the worst rosters of the NFL, and the common thread being Sean Payton. Sean Payton being in Denver now and not being in New Orleans. Here's also part of the Sean Payton effect. He will light your salary cap table on fire and walk away. And if you're a Saints fan, you know what I say is 100% true. What Sean Payton did, and I don't blame Sean Payton or the New Orleans Saints for doing it this way. If you have a window where you're contending, where you have Drew Brees, you figure out everything you can to maximize that window and consequences of that. You figure that out later. Well, here's the later with the New Orleans Saints. Okay, they signed a slew of guys to deferred contracts and in flexible years. In the New Orleans Saints, part of the reason why their roster is one of the worst in the NFL is because they have no money. They can't bring in anybody. They can't improve the roster because, in part, what Sean Payton left them with in terms of their salary cap. Now, I think if you ask many Saints fans, it was worth it. You got a Super Bowl out of it. But this idea, like, that the New Orleans Saints are now terrible at identifying talent because Sean Payton's not there. It's like, no, part of the reason why the Saints roster has been as bad as it's been is because of the salary cap prison they have found themselves in that Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis got together on and put the Saints in and acknowledged it willfully that they would be in that. And when it started to go in that direction, Sean Payton was like, it's been fun, New Orleans. I bid you adieu. And he will do the same thing with the Denver Broncos, I promise you. Now, I think it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. It's like the Nikola Jokic retirement I was talking about earlier. Like, we got some time here. But I'm telling you, the minute Sean Payton's not going to get fired by the Denver Broncos, what's going to happen is it's going to be Sean Payton walking away. I've done all I've needed to do. And the next few years right after that with the Denver Broncos are going to be the dark ages. Ask your buddy who's a Saints fan. Find anybody with Saints gear on and say, how are you feeling about your Saints? They're living in the dark ages. It is a bad spot that they are in right now. And Sean Payton's going to leave the Denver Broncos in the exact same position. I promise you. But will the Broncos have a championship? Maybe. I don't think it will be with Bo Nix that they'll get a championship. But like the Sean Payton effect, yeah, he built up the Saints, built up the Broncos to what they are now. Full marks to him for that. But this idea that Sean Payton leaving the Saints is what burned them to the ground. No, he lit the match and walked away. And the Saints franchise, their salary cap table, their finances exploded, and Sean Payton, like an action hero, walked away without even flinching or turning around. Like, that's part of the Sean Payton effect as well. But he has built up this Broncos roster, and also some credit to George Payton, for building up this Broncos roster. I don't think Sean Payton is grinding film of 5th and 6th round picks that George Payton has hit on. But I would probably amend the text and say I agree with the general sentiment behind it. I will say that Bo Nix will be the reason Sean Payton doesn't win a Super Bowl in Denver, because ultimately in the next couple of years, it will be found out that Bo Nix is not the next great franchise quarterback like Peyton Manning or John Elway. He's not that, and he's going to become costly, which is going to make it so the Broncos can't afford the 5th or 6th best roster in the NFL around him. So I'll say that he's not the Bo Nix is not the reason Sean Payton's going to get fired. I think that Bo Nix will see that he is the reason why, and the fact that he is not Drew Brees, he is not the second coming of Drew Brees, is the reason why Sean Payton will not ultimately win a Super Bowl in Denver. But I agree with your overall sentiment. This coming in, another texter from the 719. Yeah, I'm feeling better about the Nuggets with what Jonas Valanciunas has been saying. I think they're going to be competitive next year. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are precisely the same as yours. I am heartened. I would be heartened if I were a Nuggets fan, as it seems like you are, over what Jonas Valanciunas said the other day. And that's what you needed to hear from him. You needed to hear not that he's going to honor his contract. People can honor their contracts and be the worst employees ever. Just showing up and punching the clock makes you honor your contract. I needed to hear Jonas Valanciunas, or read more accurately in this case, Jonas Valanciunas saying, yeah, I'm in, I'm dedicated, I want to help this team win. And that is precisely what he said the other day, and I'm with you. I think now we can really look at the Denver Nuggets. It seems like everybody's motivated, including Jamal Murray, right? We talked about Jamal Murray the other day out in Vegas working out. It seems like as of right now, everyone is committed to the cause. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. We got 3 months. So some things can change, but right now, absolutely, I think you can feel good about the Denver Nuggets. I think they are the biggest threat to Oklahoma City in the Western Conference. I got to see how it all fits in and how it all looks before I can pick the Denver Nuggets to knock off Oklahoma City. But I think on paper right now, you have to say that the Denver Nuggets are the biggest threat to Oklahoma City. And if we're talking about vibes, if that's what this text is about, which I think is specifically about the Nuggets, but I think right now we always do that thing where the Avs, the feeling around the Avs is down and the feeling around the Nuggets is up, and it switches, and here come the Broncos. I think if there's a power rankings in terms of the vibes, I think number one has to be the Nuggets. I know that the Broncos fans are more plentiful. Broncos fans are more vocal. But I think right now, the feeling around the Nuggets is higher, because I think even as excited as Broncos fans are for this upcoming season, I don't think many of them think that the Broncos are a legitimate threat to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. The Nuggets are a legitimate threat to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. And I think that the Avalanche are that as well. It's just that where people are at with the Avs is, are they going to do anything else? Or are they going to have open tryouts the night before the season for third line wingers? Because they haven't done anything in a few weeks. But I do think that you could feel good about what Jonas Valanciunas said the other day. Pulling in the same direction, committed to the Denver Nuggets. And that is as Martha Stewart would say. That is a good thing. Before I go, guys, listen up. If you're constantly tired, you can't focus, you don't have any energy to do anything, that might not just be life wearing you down. It might not be life wearing you down at all. That could be low T. And here in Colorado Springs, Low T Center are the local experts who can help you turn it around, and they do it fast. Right now, the testosterone test is free, but it won't be for long. It takes 15 minutes and you get your results back on the spot. And if you do need treatment, know that most insurance is accepted, so it's affordable, but you got to act now because the free test, it won't last long. And once you do get the test and you need treatment, you can choose in-center care or have treatment delivered right to your door. It's all medically monitored, and it's all about getting you back to feeling yourself again. So don't wait. Take control of your health. Visit fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com, and get started with the experts in Colorado Springs. That is Low T Center. That'll do it for the show. My thanks to too many guests to mention, but all of them contributed to the show in a massive way, and I appreciate them doing that. Thanks to all the folks at Populous, the Department of Defense, everybody here at the Warrior Games for lining those up. My thanks to Ray Dominguez, who is my on-site producer today, DJ Michaels, once again holding down the fort back at the Extra Sports 1300 studios. It takes a lot of people to make me sound and look good, and it takes probably more than most people to make me look and sound good, and all of those people did that today, so I appreciate it. And I appreciate you most of all for tuning in. Hopefully you've gotten as much out of these shows as I have. I'll be back in studio tomorrow, regularly scheduled programming, so to speak, and then right back out here on Friday for our last day at the Warrior Games, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have wall-to-wall guests is what we're looking at for Friday. So hope you join us for that. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll talk tomorrow at 3 here on Extra Sports 1300.